All
Well,
right. What about what's going on with those Tigers over there, huh?
it was a surprise to absolutely no one, or
I
it
was shocked.
should have been no surprise.
I was shocked.
Eduardo Weirdo Rodriguez opted out of the last 3 years of his 5-year deal with the Tigers,
What?
leaving $49 million on the table.
What?
Of course, he did this. I'm not surprised. I'm not brokenhearted. I would have. I think in the last episode we talked about it a little bit. I would have taken him on, for the next 3 years. That's not outrageous money.
No.
50 million divided by three. It's not crazy, especially considering how great he was in the first couple months of last year. He was, amongst the best of any pitcher in the American League for at least 2 months, 2.5 months before he had the bizarre pulley pulley rupture in his left index finger that no one's ever heard of before.
It's all
Uh,
weights and pulleys.
Prior to that, the season prior to that, he had left the team under mysterious circumstances, dealing to a family matter, and was incommunicado for weeks at a time while he dealt with this matter, which just spoke to absolute disrespect for the organization. I thought didn't really matter that the Tigers were in such a tailspin in 2022. It meant meant little, but it was just another source of frustration. Came back in 2023 and was more than anyone could have hoped for. How well he was pitching. Then the injury came. Then it came to the trade deadline, where he, at the last moment, invoked his no trade clause to a deal that was going to happen between the Tigers and the LA Dodgers, who have a fascinating farm system that I will forever be vexed by. Who could have been coming back to the Tigers in that deal? What treasure trove of prospects we could have potentially gotten for Eduardo Rodriguez. I think equally frustrated are the Dodgers, whose rotation down the stretch was completely in tatters, and Erod would have solved at least a few issues. It certainly wouldn't have had Lance Lynn pitching for them in the playoffs, in the first round of the playoffs this season. So, uh, just a weird guy. I'm not sorry to see him leave. I would have been okay if he was still there. He would have been locked in. Maybe he would have had another domestic situation where we didn't hear from him for months. That would always be the fear. Um, Considering he came back healthy and did pitch fairly well down the stretch, not quite to the lofty heights he reached in the first half before he got hurt, he's going to do quite well, I think, on the free agent market. He he's younger than Stroman, or I don't know how he compares to Clevenger. I forget how old Clevenger is, but he put up good numbers this year when he was healthy. So I think he's going to be okay. So I think that makes sense at least. What doesn't make sense, and what really pisses me off now, is they just announced today, his agent did, saying to all to all teams, he is not restricting any of his potential suitors by geography, the same way he did with his no trade clause. He said the only reason he didn't go to the Dodgers last season in that trade is because he didn't want to go to the West Coast. And now he is saying he didn't want to go to the West Coast for a mere 2 months. Now he's saying he doesn't care where he goes. He's opening it up to everyone. There was no geographical restrictions. So whatever happened before that trade deadline deal got nixed will forever be a mystery. And it makes even less sense now that he said he'd be more than willing to spend the rest of his career on the West Coast, where he said he couldn't spend 2 months there before. So I guess I'm just glad he's gone. I don't want to deal with it ever again. Good luck to whoever gets him. I think they are going to have to probably beat. He'd be making over 15 million a year for the next 3 years with his previous deal. I think he will beat that. I think he'll probably get a, I don't know, 4-year deal. I'm sure he's looking for a 5-year, 5-year, probably $90 million deal. I don't know. I'm not sure he's going to get that high, but this is going to lead to our final segment later on. But I might have to nominate him for our asshole of the year award, considering
Wow.
considering how this has played out and today's announcement that now he doesn't care about going to the West Coast or not. So all of that was bullshit, and it affected the futures and presence of two different franchises, one of which I care deeply about. But we'll see. But that's all I've got for Erod. Probably never talking about him again, unless he
Unless he ends
goes.
up on the White Sox or the
He could be,
Giants.
he could be a potential White Sox giant. Could he be with the Cubs? My God. Oh,
Another head case. That would be weird though, because like when you talked about Erod and you talked about arguably the best pitcher in the AL for the first 2 months of the season, it's almost like you were repeating the same conversation you had about Stroman being the
yeah,
best pitcher in the first half for the NL.
yeah. There's a lot of parallels.
Yeah, both maybe a little goofy. So we'll see.
There's something going on there.
Word Hole Media.